All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. One second, sir.
Peter, you've got
Ladies and
feedback.
gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The mayor's called meeting to order. Mayor Davey,
Here.
Councilmember Loreto, thank you, Mayor.
All right, so we've got brief comments by council. Does anybody want to?
I do.
Okay. Allison, why don't you go first? I'm sorry, Councilmember McCormick.
Okay, so I just wanted to address some people in the community had reached out and had a lot of questions about tonight and the point and purpose of this meeting and where it falls into our budget discussions on a larger scale. And there were questions raised about, how do you make budgetary decisions? You haven't even seen a draft budget. And it caused me to take a moment and reflect on our conversations after the last budget cycle, where we really tried to focus on how we would do it better this year. And I just wanted to share for the benefit of people who are wondering, and also maybe to remind anyone who may not have had the same opportunity that I took, that we really talked about this meeting not being so much of a budget workshop in the way that we really drilled down through line items. I mean, obviously that's important when it comes to any type of spending, but rather that we had talked about this being an opportunity to really highlight some of the amazing work being done in our community by our friends and neighbors, and to hear about what their hopes were and their intentions for the upcoming year. And while those are always attached to a dollar amount in a budget request, what my understanding of what our purpose was to celebrate what they've done, to hear what they'd like to do, and then to take that information and use it when we get the draft budget to see where we are. And when we talk about this in terms of the scale of the budget as a whole, we are talking about roughly around 1% of the entire budget for the village for the year. And people were saying, how are you devoting so much time to discuss such a small part of the budget? And I really think that the answer to that is that it's important that people see where public dollars are going. But even more importantly, I think it's important that people see what's being done in their community by their other community members. So I wanted to share that because I really had enough questions that I felt the need to sort of pause and reflect on what our point was for tonight. So I wanted to share that with the community and also the rest of the council, just to let you know sort of where my head is at and what I think the answer is to those other questions. And the other thing that I wanted to just say, I know this is brief comments and I'm going on, but if you didn't have an opportunity to speak with someone from the Education Advisory Board today, I just wanted to say they will not be participating tonight. They are not a community group, but rather a board that reports to council. So they were prepared to come to the regular budget workshop along with Art in Public Places and the 2040 Vision Board and the Youth Council and all the other council boards that have budgetary requests. So I just wanted to address that and share with you my thoughts on this evening. And that's it.
Okay, anybody else, brief comments? Okay, let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry, the manager, I think to your point, Councilmember McCormick, we'll be pulling the Education Advisory Board, because you're correct. It's a board. It advises us, and it's not appropriate to be talking about it during the community group presentations workshop.
Thank you, Mayor.
Move on.
All right, Mayor, the next item is public comments. Is there anyone in the audience now that wishes to speak? If so, please press star 9 to raise your hand or raise your hand within the application. We'll give it a few more seconds, sir, but I'm not seeing anyone. Sir?
Yeah, I don't see anybody raising their hand. I can't really tell right. So if you don't see anybody, Peter, then let's move on.
All right, the next item is the budget presentations, and it's going to be the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 community group budget request summary.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, Mayor, council members, community groups, partners. Thank you all for being here this evening. I wanted to open up by expressing my gratitude to Todd in particular and his team and all of the community groups who have worked with us really since March to try to work together and finalize these asks, as well as take a new approach, which was the one-page cover sheet. So in addition to the material that the council received as the agenda, we were able, with the collaborative efforts of the community groups, to put together sort of a cover sheet that basically standardizes at a glance, one page, what the ask is, what the benefit is to the community, and the value proposition statement. So I'd like to thank the community groups for being willing to put that information forth. And I hope, council members, that you find that information useful and helpful. Moving forward, just to kind of set the tone, earlier today, we had a dry run with the community groups. Most of the groups who are here with us either attended or I've spoken with them subsequently to make sure that we're all clear on the expectations. And the budget, this exactly what Allison was saying is she's spot on. This is one piece of the budget. The opportunity here tonight is for the community groups to receive the gratitude that the village is expressing for you and the work that you're doing, and to make sure that the council members can be fully informed on what the asks are, so that when we get to the budget process, there's more clarity going in to understanding what these community events, the value that they add to the community. Obviously, we know we have another third year in a row of declining tax values. I spoke about that with the community groups earlier today and many of the council members. So there is some pressure on our budget. Notwithstanding, I am going to turn it over to the groups. We're going to go in the order of the agenda. The supplement package that we provided to the council and posted should be posted to the website, includes the one-page summaries, which will also be in the same order. So if there aren't any questions, without further ado, I would like to invite Rafa up to speak on the 4th of July parade, which is tab 2 in our agenda packet.
Rafa, you there?
Hello, Rafa.
He's there. I see.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, guys. My name is Rafael Momenye. I'm the president of the Key Biscayne 4th of July Parade Committee. First, I'd like to thank the council for all the work you guys do as a volunteer. I know that it takes a lot of hours to do this kind of thing, and being a member of the council has to take even more hours, and it comes with criticism too, so that's even tougher. So thanks again. And let me just talk a little bit about the 4th of July Parade real quick. It's in its 61st year this year. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the longest running community event in Key Biscayne. It's still run by a group of amazing volunteers with the help of the village. And it's an event that celebrates the United States. And at the same time is a celebration of Key Biscayne, the people who live here, and our history. The money that the village contributes helps us continue our operations. It's spent mainly on hiring bands, hiring floats and getting equipment such as tents and the stage and sound and those kind of things. Last year's parade cost about $54,000, and we asked the village for $30,000, and we are asking again for $30,000 for this year. Thank you. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Nobody? Okay. Thank you, Rafa. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
And just so everybody's clear, the 4th of July parade is planning for a parade. It's going to be an extended parade through the neighborhood. So we're excited.
Oh yeah, can I quickly talk on that? 1 second.
Yeah, please.
So go to kb4.org if you want to sign up to be in the parade. Vehicles only, no walking, social distancing. We're going to drive around the key instead of down Crandon so that nobody groups up at the Village Green or anything like that. And we'd really like the community to participate in your golf carts, in your cars, convertibles, whatever you have. Go to kb4.org and you can find all the info there, where to sign up. It's all free. You can even win some money if you do something really interesting with decoration and stuff like that. So thanks again.
Thank you, Rob. Does this mean we don't have to put out the stakes this year?
No, we do have to put out the stakes.
All right, it's all good. I get Ed Sanchez gets to boss me around. Get it.
Okay.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay, let's move on.
All right, the next item is active seniors on the key, Mr. Anstone. Also, as a reminder to all participants, please make sure your video is on before you start sharing your screen. Thank you.
Mr. Stone.
Good evening. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right. Are you going to do my PowerPoint? Or is that just in the tabs? Is that?
Do you want to speak to it?
I believe.
Or I don't know. Do you want me to? I don't have to, but I mean, I could. I just didn't understand the process.
Is it possible to run the PowerPoint while he speaks?
It is. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Technology, how wonderful. Thank you. While we're getting it ready, just first of all, the Ask Club would like to thank everyone for what they've done for us. It's been a tough time. 4 months of being cooped up in the house, wearing our masks, etc. But the community foundation, the village have just treated us fabulous. We get lunches, we get soup, we get games, we get something to think about. We get a 2-page schedule every week as to what to do. As a matter of fact, I'm glad I'm early because at 7 o'clock we have another presentation that the community foundation or the community center is putting on. So, I mean, this is a good place to be old. And the Ask Club is now 11 years or 12 years old and growing. And I think that it really is a great place to be a senior. And I don't see the thing going, but that's okay. It's in the tab too, those of you that want to see it. We've had another wonderful year. You know, it's been very different, obviously, but with Roxy and Melissa, we have some fabulous activities every single day from 9 o'clock in the morning until 7 or 8 at night that you can keep yourself busy. And we've been doing it. I mean, and sadly, back in March, we had a fabulous lunch at the beach park. And if you look at the tape that's on Channel 77, you'll see pictures of me looking like a fool, according to my wife, but I enjoyed it. And, but I did make a comment that Roxy had said this might be our last supper. That was in March. So here we are, June, and it was our last supper. But in the meantime, everyone has pulled together and been great. So we thank you for your support. I think we are very good shepherds of your funds. We have a $34,000 budget that we've kept under control. I'm sure that somewhere, somehow, someone's donated stuff here and there because we've got a lot of benefits this year. So if there's any other questions, I'm certainly available.
Thank you. Pete, can you switch it back? I can't see if anybody has a question.
There you are, sir.
Councilmember Petros?
I don't know if you're the right person to ask this, but I know one of the benefits of this is we've had a lot of participation from seniors in online events. And I was wondering if you were looking to restructure any of your programming to keep that in place, even as hopefully we move to a situation where we don't have to have so much isolation.
Katie, great question. Of course, increase the budget. We'll do it. We can use any monies you give us and any ideas that you have. I mean, on Saturday, we're having a scavenger hunt that I had suggested Roxy find. That's all you have to do is make a suggestion and Roxy goes to town. Last night, we had a thank you Channel 77 for really, I'm sure you went through hoops, but we had a fabulous presentation, the history of Havana, Cuba. It was beautiful. It was unbelievable. It's fun to be a senior. I'm sorry we were stuck for 4 months and maybe more. And we'll do what we have to do to get out of this. It's not good, but we want to support everything we can. And if any seniors are listening, please go online and complete your census form, because I'm sure that there's monies available that we can find that will add to our coffers. So, but we'd be more than happy to add more to it, Katie. And Melissa's fabulous, and Chris Biggers and Susan, all the people in our group are very supportive.
Well, I must admit, I would think also if we were doing some online stuff, there's some economies in scale that doesn't necessarily need increased budget, but that you could reach a lot of people more efficiently sometimes. So,
but they like lunch.
Fair enough. Okay.
But that is a good point too.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks for everything.
Sorry, Ed.
I'm sorry, Councilmember McCormick.
I want to commend the Ask Club for the way they were able to pivot in these COVID times to really be able to give our seniors things to do and to help them through the isolation. I'm sure that they very much missed getting together and seeing each other in person. I had a question relating to, if there's ever anything positive that comes out of things like this. Did you find that through all of this online and working together with the foundation through some of the systems we set up to deal with COVID-19, did you see your membership increase, or do you feel like you've reached more seniors?
Since you become a member automatically into the Ask Club, even if you don't want to, once you reach 50, you might.
Maybe your participation is probably more my question.
I think we've had participation, and I think probably the nicest part is that many of our seniors are reaching out to other seniors and checking on them. I mean, there's a couple of people that have actually said to me, there's so many people trying to help me, I want to be alone. And they didn't mean that in a bad way, but they just meant that they thought it was fabulous. So,
problem to have.
Yeah, and if I could help you out on this, Ed, because we've been tracking the data.
Okay.
The Ask Club reach has increased significantly through COVID, because it was always everybody was automatically a member by age, but what ended up happening was by reaching out and saying, do you need anything? And a lot of times it was simply a wellness check and the desire to have someone to talk to while they were isolated. So I think what seniors on Key Biscayne have learned through COVID is that this is a very special community, and they are very lucky to have people that care about them and people that they might not know but have grown to know through it, reaching out, and they feel a part of something. And I think that when you have a public health scare like we've had, it's probably helped, and this is not an exaggeration, but to keep some people alive.
True. Thank you. We couldn't have done it without you.
Well, it takes a village.
True. And we are.
All right. Anybody else? Well, thank you, Ed. I'm impressed with your background. Your IT skills are ahead of mine.
You know?
Good job. Take care.
All right, Mr. Mayor, the next item is Key Biscayne Car Week. Francis Reeves.
Francis,
are you there?
saw you here. There you are.
Yeah, hey, can you see us? I can't see us.
I can. There you are. Oh, you're both together.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, we're totally
Hi.
COVID appropriate. Yes, absolutely.
That is
And-
not 6 feet.
Well, we have the mask.
Well, that's
so
because
we may be in the
it's so
same-
small.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
But we've been working really hard together.
We know
All right.
we're both clean.
Yeah. So first, let me just share the screen that we put together for you and share. Here it is. There you guys go. There is our little Key Biscayne Car Week budget workshop. We want to thank the Key Biscayne Community Foundation for helping us. Melissa and Andrew, as always, you're right there. And we want to thank all of our council members and village manager and the staff for allowing us.
Mayor.
Well, I didn't I already thank?
No.
I'm sorry.
The police, the fire.
Right.
He needs to be singled out, though. Boy's been working hard.
Right. So we're happy to be here and to tell you our story. Now, the Key Biscayne Car Week is going to be October 9th, and we really believe this is going to be one of the first festivals since the COVID-19 lockdown. The Village Green is, of course, I don't know how to work the, I didn't teach you how to do this, Mary.
Stroller.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at any rate, this will be one of the first festivals after the COVID lockdown. And we're pretty excited about that because it is on the Village Green, which is such a for social distancing and fun. And as you all know, Emerson Fittipaldi and Emerson, this is Emerson Fittipaldi's baby, and Stali Sojanovic, who I think you all got to know last year, is our producer, and both are Key Biscayne residents. And the good news about this year's, about the October 9th event is it's about 5 or 6 months, Mary, I guess, before the anticipated 2021 Miami Grand Prix. And as a consequence, we are sort of in the loop, not the loop, but in the line to be the first big event for
The kickoff.
the kickoff for the Grand Prix season. And even better is October is not the Indy or NASCAR season. So a lot of our local race car drivers are going to be available. And I, of course, you know, Mary and I wanted you to see us when we were all dressed up, and Rosanna, that is Emerson's wife.
And daughter.
And daughter, who's also a racer. But we wanted to focus on the areas of impact. But before we get to that, I just want you all to know that the October 9th event, besides our drivers and VIPs, all the Mercedes guys, the
McLaren,
the
Ferrari,
Bentleys, the Ferraris, we have already reached out to Steve Ross, the CEO of the Miami Dolphins, who's also the man who's going to be hosting the Miami Grand Prix. Chase Carey, who's the CEO of Formula One, Jim Chance, who's the CEO of NASCAR, Tony George, who's the same for the IndyCar series, and our really good friend who's been so fabulous with us, Al Garcia, who's president of the Homestead Miami Speedway. And as you all know, I'm sure NASCAR is ready to go. And of course, we'll ask all our local politicians. We're also working towards a celebrity MC. Of course, Mary and I like Danica Patrick, so she's our first choice, but you know, we'll have a first, second choice if she's unavailable. So what I have in front of you now is page 6, which discusses the local impact, which a lot of you all know from last year. First of all, this is really a family event. And to facilitate increased commerce, we're asking from you through our $10,000 ask, $10,000 more ask to facilitate. We're asking that Key Biscayne put up a large Key Biscayne tent, which we will fill with our merchants and restaurants. And just as the Miami Open did with our star tennis players, this event is going to put us back as a destination enclave. And for that weekend, we're going to be the Key Biscayne car capital of the world. Now, what we're asking from the village is the same as we did last year in-kind services. Plus this year, what we'd really like is a police escort for the Spirit of Miami as it comes from
Palooza to Monaco Square.
Yeah, to Monaco Square. And then last year, you know, we had Tito's old car. We had a couple of really stellar collector cars, and we would like them also to be escorted to Monaco Square. And one full day of this event, it starts October 9th, which is a Friday night. We're going to have a cocktail party. Then Saturday and Sunday are the two big days. Saturday, we're focusing totally on Key Biscayne. And then Sunday, we're going to share Key Biscayne and the national collectors. Now, Key Biscayne, what we're hoping for is our own competition with our own trophy, which could begin a neighborhood rivalry. And the reason for the extra ask is for the private security necessary for the cars. You know, they have to be roped off. And that was asked of us last year, right, Mary?
Yeah.
They asked from our Key Biscayne folks. And then
The tent is going to...
the VIP tent, the Key Biscayne tent, and then a better track for those little go-karts that Emo and Victoria drove. Because they went over those little bumps, the cars had a little bit more damage. So we'd like a better track and maybe a little bit more involvement from the kids, all the kids of Key Biscayne for the go-karts, and then a tent for the simulators, which were very popular. And the simulator is where you get to drive your own car. All of these were huge successes. And as you can see, they're outlined here on page 6. Now, here's the good news. Last year's sponsors have already signed up. The headline sponsor is already being looked at by several potential companies. Of course, I don't have to tell you because it's COVID-19. Everybody's sort of like, oh my gosh, this, oh my gosh, that. But we're confident that this October, we're going to have double the attendance that we did last year.
Yep.
And we, Mary and I, definitely look forward to coming to your first in-person meeting to give you the posters that Emerson has already signed. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, and one thing too, this again is a family event. It's family oriented, but it's Saturday and Sunday. And it also raises money for the Miami Project to cure paralysis.
That's right.
And another charity, a Brazilian charity.
Well, Charity and Grace. Charity and Grace. And we're also thinking about adding a third Laureus.
Yeah, so all the money goes to a charity. It's nothing goes in our pockets or
unless of course you want to say that we should get something. You know, we're happy to do that.
I wouldn't say no. Just as long as it was on the up and up.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you all. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you all both. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay,
Mike.
thanks, Mike.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Andrea.
I
Take care.
just have one
Oh,
question.
Councilmember
When,
McCarthy, I'm
when
sorry.
you talked about money going to charity, what kind of proceeds did you make last year?
Melissa, do you have what's in the account?
Well, the bad news is I forgot to get that number, but it was under 100,000. But I can't believe
Melissa, do you
Andrew sent it to me. Hold on, let me look it up. All right.
I can't.
I'm so sorry. I should have had that. You're absolutely right. Andrew's not on here, right, Melissa? Okay.
If you don't have it now, if you could maybe get it to us, maybe like a little more detailed.
Yeah.
We're not making any decisions tonight, so there's time, but if you could
I know.
send that around, it would be, I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. It sounds very
Okay.
exciting.
Thanks, Allison. It will be. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next item is Key Biscayne Chamber of Commerce. Tatiana?
Good
Take it away.
evening. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys hear me well? Because I'm going to as close as I can to this computer.
No, we can hear you. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right. 1 second.
And I hope you're not driving.
Okay, hold on.
Are you talking to me, Francis, Mike?
No, I'm talking to Ed London, who appears to be eating, driving, and attending the meeting.
Okay.
Tatiana, go ahead.
Okay. So good evening. Something wrong. I have this weird thing that's on the bottom of the screen that I've never seen before. But anyway, so good evening, Mayor, Village Council members, Madam Manager, and the viewing public. My name is Tatiana Chiocchetti, Executive Director of the Key Biscayne Chamber of Commerce. Great. Okay, so for the past 62 years, I think we're in a tie with the parade. The Chamber has been a membership-based organization comprised of businesses and organizations joining forces to be the voice of the business community. The Key Biscayne Chamber also manages the 24/7 Visitor Center and promotes the business district. As per our agreement for services, the village funding helps cover a portion of our operating costs and initiatives. The Board of Directors is the Chamber also represents the Village of Key Biscayne at non-governmental business-related sessions. We have a Board of Directors, which is comprised of a 20-person elected board with the mission of serving as the voice of business for our island paradise. We currently—
Tatiana, you're not sharing. There's nothing on the screen.
Okay, there's something wrong now. Okay, so that's bad. So let me share again. I had this very strange— can you see my thing now? My screen now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start over because I have pretty little pictures here. So as I mentioned, good evening. And we are, for the past 62 years, have been the voice of the business community. And we also manage our 24/7 visitor center and promote the business district. Can you see now? Everything good? Yeah. As per our agreement for services, the village funding helps cover a portion of our operating costs and initiatives. The Chamber also represents the Village of Key Biscayne at non-governmental business-related sessions. We have a Board of Directors, which is comprised of a 20-person elected board with the mission of serving as the voice of business for our island paradise. We currently serve 13 trustee members and have 325 active members across a variety of sectors, with 67% consisting of small businesses. Our membership has grown significantly in the past 5 years. However, there has been a decline due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we've only had 8 new members in 2020 to date. We recently revamped our website, our in-house, and purchased an additional URL targeting visitors, which redirects site traffic to the Chamber website, which receives an average of 5,000 visitors per month. The Chamber is diligently working to provide members with essential information on how to manage their businesses through the COVID-19 crisis, filtering through vital information, analyzing it, and disseminating it in a user-friendly way. We've also added a number of useful guides to the homepage of our website and conducted a series of surveys to better understand the impact of COVID on our local businesses. We promote local businesses through a wide variety of initiatives, such as our Shop, Dine, and Wine guide. And we've also increased our restaurant's digital presence through strategic partnerships with the GMCDB and Edible South Florida. Also, leveraging one of the biggest sporting events of the year, we teamed up with the Village and placed a full-page ad in the official Super Bowl guide to reach 1.2 million game and event attendees. The Super Bowl ad buy also included a half-page ads in the Greater Miami Convention and Visitor Bureau's premier publications. We conduct shop local campaigns throughout the year to encourage residents to support our local businesses. The Chamber's annual guide and directory is the go-to resource for everything Key Biscayne, including village info, demographics, things to do, and a comprehensive business directory. We also provide the Key Biscayne map to visitors and residents. Our fourth annual business showcase and fundraiser had to be canceled this year due to COVID-19. This popular community event attracts over 600 attendees to get to enjoy hands-on activities from 32 participating businesses here in Village Hall. We also had to cancel the Good Neighbor and Giving Tree Awards, which we co-host with the Key Biscayne Community Foundation that honors Key Biscayne students, teachers, principals, and good citizens in an event that brings all the schools together. The Chamber serves as an information hub responding to inquiries by phone, online, and walk-in traffic. And here's a glimpse of the welcome bag that we provide to new residents, which contains useful information and promotional materials from our local businesses. Our forums have recently gone from in-person to virtual. Our next one is on Tuesday, June 23rd, featuring Florida Senator Jason Pizzo and our Mayor, Mike Davey. We've also hosted a number of recent forums in Spanish, which have been very popular. The Chamber also provides a publicly accessible online photo gallery showcasing life on the Key, including both Chamber and community events. In the past year, we've increased our social media followers organically with a 14% increase on both Facebook and Twitter and an impressive 62% on Instagram. And recently, the Chamber was approached by the Village to find a way to promote Key Biscayne to attract potential real estate buyers in the Northeast. The Chamber recommends creating a Key Biscayne lifestyle digital campaign to increase awareness and top of mind. The content would be shared via our Realtor networks, the Village and Chamber websites, our 24/7 visitor center, and targeted social media. Here's a brief example of some of the messaging for the campaign that we could suggest. The idea is to showcase the perfect balance of casual resort living with the real estate opportunities. And finally, we hope that the Council agrees that the Chamber has fulfilled each item in our current agreement for services, which now includes an increased scope of work. For instance, sharing Village communications via the Chamber's distribution channels, serving as a conduit for the business community on the Village's incident command structure, researching COVID-19 business assistance programs with different municipalities, providing the Village with monthly reports rather than quarterly reports, reaching out to all businesses on the Key, not limited to members only, regarding the adherence to the new guidelines, including a number of site visits, and fielding inquiries regarding the new normal, guidelines and reopenings, and working on the new project to promote Key Biscayne to potential real estate buyers in the Northeast. Thank you again for your support, and here's our dynamic duo team. That's it. I'm gonna share. Any questions? Sorry, I was very nervous on that.
Any questions? Anybody raising their hands? All right, Tatiana, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Mayor, our next item is City Theater.
Susie, are you there? There she is.
I am, and I'm going to share a screen if I can. Let's see. Do you see that? Are we there? Yeah.
It's there.
Cool. Well, the first thing I want to say is we were in rehearsal for City Shorts in March to come and perform for everybody this year. And when COVID hit, we were when COVID hit, our school tour had to stop and this had to stop. And as you probably realize, our 25th anniversary of Summer Shorts is not happening either. We have pivoted and we are actually online, and we have been doing virtual programming since April 3rd. But anyway, I want to, all right, how do I start this? I want this to, slideshow.
Susie, go to slideshow, press start.
I'm here. Okay.
Oh,
Here we go. If you all remember, we started in 2015 with Island Shorts, and it was a wonderful thing to come back to the community center, which I was on the original committee to help design, including the wonderful Island Room, where we get to turn it into a theater, at least for a weekend every year. We like to access the instruments and equipment that is there, and let everybody in the village be entertained in that way for those performances. We like being available to everyone in basically their community, a golf cart ride away or a walk away. We were so happy not this past year, but the year before that, when City Shorts was asked to actually move its dates, which had traditionally been during Super Bowl weekend, to the weekend that was going to be for Ultra. And we were called the Ultra Distraction. And that particular year, we did 2 performances and we were completely sold out. So there were 300 people who came to see the shows that weekend, who were stuck on the island and staying around for spring break. And it was really delightful. I want to say, oops, where'd my notes go? Sorry. It's really with thanks to the village of Key Biscayne and to the Key Biscayne Community Center and the foundation that we're able to do this. This is our 25th anniversary, and we were originally founded on Key Biscayne. So we're one of the oldest cultural institutions in South Florida, and it's always fun to come back and give back for a couple of performances while we're there. I want to thank you all. I want to thank all the councils who over these last few years, and Village Manager Aga, for making us feel welcome when we come. I hope we are doing the same thing with our audiences. What the funding does for us and for you is it helps us produce the production, and it also makes tickets for village residents and snowbirds and visitors at the hotel very, very affordable. And by that I mean they're $10 tickets, and then on walk up, if there's any tickets available, they're $20. So it's it becomes a very affordable, professionally cultural event on the island, which I would like to say, if we are back next year, that will be our 6th annual return, just like Summer Shorts at the same time next year. I think the dates that Anna had liked us coming is spring break, and that works for us perfectly well. So that would be April 1st and 2nd of 2021. The programming that we've done is about 80 minutes of short plays. and we have a little intermission so everybody can get up and stretch their legs and say hello to each other. We're thankful to the Community Foundation for the sushi opening night event that they always plan pre-show. Andrew was working with us this year to have another sort of meet and greet before the show on Saturday night, which he had planned so far in advance. It was so wonderful, but we didn't, of course, get to do it. Let's see. Well, I just want you to know we had such a good show squared away for you. It was terrific. And I also want you to know we are pivoting. And, you know, we don't know what COVID is going to mean, but I can tell you that we have been producing virtual programming since the first week of April. And I had said to Todd that as we've gotten better and better at this, it could be something that we could do for the village as well. These are readings, these are not productions. Social distancing, if you haven't thought this through, for us, it means rehearsals have to still be separate until such time as we can, you know, bring everybody together. But we've been doing that with Zoom and on Facebook Live and StreamYard. So nothing really quite beats the idea of putting people in a theater together. I'm looking forward to that very, very much. But it's also been a huge breakthrough for the cultural community to be able to take advantage of a new medium and new platform, which has not always been available and accessible to us because of our unions. So everybody's kind of sitting back and letting us explore. And if there were a time to explore, it is now. So, are there any questions about any of this right now? Does anybody have a question?
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor, our next item is the Key Biscayne Community Foundation.
I've heard of them.
Leslie.
Council, manager, clerk, thank you guys for hosting this. I know that you guys have a busy week and lots of budget workshops, so we're happy to have an entire one devoted to us. Peter, would you like us to go over our PowerPoint? Can you put it up?
If you could drive on your end, it would be a lot easier.
Okay. How about, can you see my screen?
Not yet. Are you hitting at this? It's at the center. It's share screen.
Can you see it now?
Still no. If you like, you can get it up, but unfortunately, on this machine, I'm gonna have to get it up on Microsoft Edge, so I have less control. Todd?
It's showing on my end.
Do you have multiple?
There you go. Something's coming up.
Can you see it?
Somebody's broadcasting something. Let's hope it's you. That just went away.
Melissa, if you want to email it to me, I could share it from my screen.
Okay, let's see. I think I have Ramya on there. If she can
Available.
put it up. Should have been paying better attention during our practice. I was trying to navigate through Atlanta.
Naomi, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm opening it. Give me 1 second.
Rumia to the rescue.
By the way, the fish study, the University of Miami just said that the fish study was published today. Did Roland send you that?
Quite possibly. I've been pretty consumed by our next workshop for next week, so I hadn't seen it, but that's great.
But the toadfish?
Yes. The end of Ultra, a toadfish.
That's it.
Hold on. Let's see.
Okay. I emailed you, Melissa, you and Roland, the full article that was published for that.
Cool. So Ramya, do you have to advance it?
Yes, I will as you go.
So we are the Key Biscayne Community Foundation. It's always a question, what does the Key Biscayne Community Foundation do? What does a community foundation do? And I've found that the easiest explanation is that we empower residents to make a positive difference, not just in the local, but in the greater and global community through programs, grant making, fiscal sponsorships, scholarships, and community building. For the village, we basically administer a bunch of programs that you guys have decided that you want to fund, like the Key Biscayne 4th of July Parade, the Lighthouse Run. We have youth athletics, Principals Coalition, Village of Empathy, which has multiple programs, including Youth Council. We help the Piano Festival, which is now incorporated and is doing more on their own, but we still have a nice partnership with them. Youth Lead Change and Active Seniors on the Key, of course. And what that means is that as they run through their programming throughout the year, we administer any income and expenses, and we help make it easy for you guys by checking invoices, by making sure everything's functioning, by doing additional insured certificates. And then we get reimbursed for those costs, not for the administrative time of it, at least historically. This is our social media reach. I would say that it kind of grew exponentially throughout COVID. Our YouTube videos in just the year from October 1 to date, we had over 200,000 views. And most of those views are 65 and older. That's 90% of our viewership. But we had so many residents and seniors watching programming on our YouTube channel. And the most watched videos were the enhanced fitness classes and the fidget spinner blankets, the making it, as well as other programming. So it was nice that when people were stuck at home and isolated, they were able to see their friends, neighbors, and some of the programming that we had online. We believe that a lot of what makes up a community is communication and storytelling. So we have series of lectures, whether they're history or research. Rosa de la Cruz started it with a wonderful art history lectures. We've had Dr. Robert McClatchy, who was a leading scientist on climate science. We've had Joan Gill Blank do a history of the Underground Railroad through our lighthouse. So all of those videos and all of the storytelling and all of the treasure is available online through our YouTube channel. This is where it's located at keystorytellers.org, and we have the lectures, videos, podcasts, and other resources for the community. We were asked by a resident to try to put a number to our volunteerism and the talent that we try to, the time and talent that we try to harvest from the residents. And of our 350 volunteers, and that doesn't include the students that do community service through our groups, we were able to count over 675 volunteer hours because we hadn't shut down the survey when we calculated this. And it came to 8,100 hours a year. And again, that's not the students that use the different projects we do for community service hours for school. Those are just the volunteer hours by our resident adults in the different projects that they care about. Our environmental awareness programming through the Key Biscayne Citizen Scientist Project is one of the things that we're really, really proud of. It started with a grant from the Knight Foundation in partnership with the Village of Key Biscayne and the University of Miami. And it has been and continues to be extremely successful and a wonderful way to engage and try to protect our natural resources. This is the mission, vision, and objective of that project. The Key Challenge is an island-wide initiative, and it was modeled after the Fairchild Challenge. We worked with Fairchild Gardens and made sure that they were okay if we borrowed their model. And we built upon that a way for all of the schools to interact and have their grades and classes compete against each other. In every year, there's a new challenge, whether it's water quality or finding different trails on Virginia Key or Key Biscayne, what have you. It's a competition that engages over 1,000 students on Key Biscayne, and it's actually something really special. These are the partners on the Citizen Scientist Project. And these are some of the programming that takes place. Our health and well-being programming focuses on helping residents age in a healthy manner. It focuses on food co-op, which is through our sister city, wellness in the schools, which is done both at Key Biscayne K-8 and at Charles Drew, because we believe that if it's good enough to give our own children, it should be good enough for the children in our sister city. And Cook for Kids, which is a future program. This is the mission and vision and objective for healthy aging, healthy living. And one of the ways we're most successful in putting healthy aging into practice is through our partnership and work with the Active Seniors on the Key Club, which Ed and his friends and neighbors started, as he said, over 12 years ago. And it's a wonderful way to keep our older adults engaged and active and happy. Village of Empathy is civic engagement, youth development, and community building. We try to focus this program on Academy for Civic Engagement, a sister city initiative with Liberty City, and evidence-based programming that helps develop empathy and stop bullying. And those programs take shape in different ways with different partners over the years. These are some of the fiscal sponsorships that we work on with the village in partnership. 4th of July Parade, of course, the Youth Council, which just started last year, and other programming. We work with different residents to, sorry, am I over time limit? We work with different residents to promote public safety, whether it's through anti-drunk driving, or boat safety, our Don't Text and Drive campaigns. And we feel, or we've tried to make a big impact and change some behaviors.
That's the end of the show, slideshow.
Are there any questions? Anybody like to say anything? All right, well, Melissa, thank you for everything you do. Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thanks.
All right, Mayor, the next item is the feline trap, neuter, and release program. Unfortunately, I've just been notified by Susan Sawyer, the founder and program managers at the moment. Although I do have a copy of the presentation, I always need to quickly scroll through it. Mayor?
You're coming in and out, Pete. Can you try that again?
Pete, you don't have to go through it. It's fine. We have the materials. I know you sent us some new materials today. If everybody wants to look through that, there's nobody here to present from the trap, neuter, and release return.
Unfortunately, the doctor's in Wyoming and unable to get a connection that's stable, even over the phone.
Does anybody have any specific questions to TNR right now?
I do, but I can reach out to them personally.
Okay, perfect.
Allison, we've helped with them in the past. If there's anything I can answer for you.
Do you have a breakdown of how much of what they do with these funds is for other care other than trap, neuter, and release?
We were the fiscal sponsor for that. Probably in the last year was 2018, and I can get you that information. But it's one of the programs that took back as part of the orphanage. So maybe Andrea, do you have?
No, maybe she has that then.
The question is whether or what other services they're providing,
and the fraction of this budget allowance that goes towards other things.
Well, on the third page of the presentation, they give the breakdown. So that's the information that we have. So if we want,
no, and manager, she can reach out. I mean, yeah, if we don't know, then let's let her.
Yeah, that's fine. And they're not here. I can ask them on my own.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, let's move on.
All right, Mayor, the next item is the Key Biscayne Historical Society. Former Mayor Frank Kaplan.
I've heard of him. Mr. Mayor?
The Mayor, are you there?
He was here. Oh, there he is. I see him. There he is. You're unmuted? You got to unmute yourself.
How's that?
Perfect.
All right. It's good to see everybody. I find it is so encouraging to listen to these presentations one after another and realize how much is going on in this vibrant, lively community of ours. And I hope it reinforces the reality for everybody who's listening and everybody who participates in this quality of life of ours, that a relatively modest commitment of public funds is really magnified mightily by dedicated volunteers. One after another of these presentations proves the point. So turning to what I'm here to talk to you about, we have it's going on 20 years of existence of this historical society of ours. It's gone through one or two iterations from the beginning. We have a dedicated group of avocational historians and others who care about the mission, who are really grateful for the village's financial commitment and in-kind support and for the foundation's partnership, because, well, I'd like to offer the perspective that our historical society and historical societies of the same type in similar communities are and really should be something integral to the local community's brand and identity. The very fact that on Key Biscayne there's enough interesting history and culture to justify the study and the preservation and archival curation and celebration of this interesting history and culture of ours, that is itself, it seems to me, a source of value to the community, not just because of the tangible work product and the archival collection and the events and the like, the tangible things, but also because it reinforces our sort of collective identity. And I might say our unique qualities. Apart from the fact that it's interesting and fun to do all of this, So we think there's real value in stimulating a broader and deeper understanding of our distinctive identity, because it generates civic engagement. It enriches our culture. It helps make new and deeper friendships. It helps to expand local knowledge and appreciation for what local knowledge imparts. And not least, the very fact that we're videographing old timers and preserving their stories is of endless value. So all of these things that we're doing and that we hope to do, we think brand and promote our kind of one-of-a-kind island identity, both here locally, including for newcomers, but also across the bridge. So turning quickly to accomplishments, the big move this past year, which was long awaited, was the pop-up museum that's now installed in the Village Hall. I think it's great. The people that really put their shoulders into this project did a wonderful job. The ribbon cutting, of course, was deferred because we're in the midst of a impacted reality, but we'll get there, and we'll have been practicing for our cocktail reception all of these months during COVID quarantine. So that'll be a nice event. We hope that that space will be a good venue for small gatherings, and people will really be drawn to it and learn something from it, including as the installations cycle in and out and change over time. We're now working with Dr. Paul George and Miami History Museum for a video of this collection and its installation in the Village Hall. This will be available for posting on YouTube and on the websites of both the Key Biscayne Historical Society, the Miami Historical Society, and if the Village is interested in it, the Village's website, maybe the Chamber too. We are also working on installing incorporation era photographs that have been sort of collected and put aside for installation in the conference room in the Mayor and Council office. We have dedicated ourselves and co-ventured with others to create photo essays that I think are really quite good. So far about the Beach Club and its history, about the Heritage Trail as it relates and geographically interacts with the Art and Public Places installation, which is a sort of a novel approach. And also a very nice product to memorialize Father Libby's very well done presentation on President Nixon. These all appear in the Lions Club directory, which of course supports the Lions and its mission, their mission, but it's also part of our permanent collection. And these are good examples of what can be done by way of publications. We're always focused on the videography and identifying people whose stories need to be told and preserved. That's an ongoing project, and we think that's important. We're organizing and as we do it, curating the collection that's been in Key Colony Place for all of these years to move out of there and get rid of the rent obligation at last. We want to be, post-COVID, more focused on doing some work that's been pending for a while to, for example, preserve Joan's work on original research on the Davis family and their settlement in Key Biscayne, and her excellent presentation before the History Miami Museum a few years ago. Same thing with Bob Bristol's photo collection. And same thing with encouraging more and more donations to add to the collection, including recently discussions with former Mayor Rasco and including me on our materials relating to pre-incorporation work. That era in our history is underrepresented in the collection. It turns out, no surprise, me and others have a lot of materials that we could dedicate. We recently, we were contacted by Miami-Dade County Parks to lend a word of support for a grant application for the restoration of the Calusa Playhouse, which frankly surprised me. But we wrote a letter. It was well received, and who knows? This could be an opportunity for the Village Council to re-engage constructively on improvements at Calusa, and who knows, the tennis center. So, in the meantime, we bought last year curating software that we learned about by visiting with other historical societies. This is a product that's used commonly in the United States to curate historical collections. We have it, we bought it. It was not a significant investment, but it is an important investment in my view because it is the thing that will enable us to identify and categorize and digitalize the entire collection. The ask is $15,000. That is the same as last year. We went a little bit over that last year, as it turned out, mainly because of the expenses associated with creating the collection for installation in Village Hall. A one-time expense, but the kind of thing that will be replicated predictably as we create other installations over time. Next year, we want to do two things mainly. One is get rid of the rent, and the other is spend more than we have been able to on events and gatherings, things that will garner public participation to create more public participation. That would include lectures and the like. And I think that about covers it. If anyone has any questions, I hope I'll be able to answer them.
Frank, I just had one. You made a, Frank, you made mention of rent. What rent were you talking about?
Like back in time, and council members, back in time at the very beginning, the collection was scattered around the village and it wasn't preserved in any way, and it wasn't in air conditioning in some cases. When Key Colony Place was CO, the landlord at that time offered free rent, free space, free rent in an air-conditioned facility to be able to put the collection in one place. At some point in time along the way, and this came up 2 years ago in a budget workshop, at some point along the way, Key Colony Place sold, and unbeknownst to me, rent started to be attributed to that space. It's very nominal, but it's avoidable. And so we're working to get out of there with gratitude, but it'll alleviate that expense.
I had thought that you'd moved most of it over to the Village Hall, but okay, I wanted to confirm. Councilmember Petros?
That's work in progress, and that's where we want to wind up.
Frank, I had a quick question. In your budget for this upcoming year, you have listed another 10,000 for the pop-up museum. Obviously, you've pretty much got it in place. I was curious what the plans were for next year for those funds. Is there something else you're going to do in the museum?
I think there's several components of, let's say, possibilities. One is to accrete that collection by adding new things that are compatible with the things that are there now without overburdening the installation, adding to it. The other is to prepare for cycling the collection out so that it's freshened on a regular basis. And the third, and that basically involves the same scope of work and same modicum of expense in framing things and in preserving things and in fumigating things in some cases. And the third thing is a placeholder possibility of doing pop-up expositions elsewhere in the village, including, for example, the library was one that was commonly discussed over recent years. And changing that, out and freshening it up from time to time. So those are the three possibilities.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have comments or questions?
I had a question related to Frank. First of all, thank you, and it's nice to see you. But
Nice to see you.
my question relates to maybe what your thoughts are long-term with regard to programming in the museum. Is there talk about trying to schedule, field trips for local kids? We always circle back to, and you touched on it today, how understanding of the history of Key Biscayne is so good for community building. And I think with such a diverse population of people coming from so many different places, it's so important when we're trying to talk about promoting things like KB Nice, or like an identity of all of us here together as Key Biscayners. An amazing way to do it is to incorporate, field trips from the local schools and so forth. Have you guys started exploring that at all?
Yeah, I think that whole initiative is rather integral to the mission, and not just visits, but for example, Allison, I'm not sure if you were with me when I went to speak to Principal Tarafa about supporting, academic research on the elementary school level, and exposing kids not only to the history, but inviting them to analyze elements that they find interesting and write about them. And of course, this could correlate as well with art, with fine arts. So the idea of being programmatic in an educational way, I think, is core mission. Same principle holds true for newcomers to the Key who don't have, rootedness in our history, and seniors, and leveraging the active activity that the Ask Club garners by exposing anybody who's interested to the same type of scholarship and exposure opportunities that we're talking about.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor,
Thank you, sir.
The next item is Kindness in Schools. Hello.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hello.
Let me share my screen. There we go. Well, thank you everyone. I wanted to thank everyone for the hard work that you guys have put during this crazy times. Thank you for not making it that crazy. Kindness in the Schools, also known as KIDS, is a committee-wide initiative with a mission to promote culture of kindness, respect, and support among each other in Key Biscayne. KIDS is a parent-led committee approved by the Village of Key Biscayne, the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, and local schools. Our focus is to educate the members of the community with the aim of creating a positive, nurturing environment for our children. Here are the members of our committee. Our initiatives, it's to get speakers for parents and seminars like psychologists, martial arts, anti-bullying educational speakers, create momentums in favor of culture of kindness in our community by the use of media, social media, printed media, and promotional materials. Spreading messages of kindness, Sidewalk Chalk campaigned, Spread the Love postcards campaigned, kindness banners displayed at various events, positive affirmation messages on the Key Biscayne electronic boards at the entrance of the island, and articles and various letters. This is one of the postcards that we used. And kids' areas of impact, youth and self-esteem. The children become increasingly confident and engaged. Parental education, equip parents with skills to identify and address child's issue. And community kindness campaigns brings together Key Biscayne Island members of all ages. the budget from October 1st to June 12th. We got a budget of $5,000, and last year's contribution helped to invite expert speakers to engage Key Biscayne parents in series of seminars designed to inform caregivers on children's welfare approaches, disseminate messages of kindness and positive affirmations locally through various prints and digital media, produce kindness banners, sidewalk chalk art, postcards, campaigns, and thank you gifts, provide food and beverage for all the events. And because we had a speaker, Brian Williams, but because of COVID, we had to cancel him. Hopefully for the next year, we're able to get him. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions, Laudy. First, thank you very much for your presentation and also for this work. I wanted to ask you if you guys had any opportunities or ideas about doing something sort of virtually, and if you've done anything or if you're thinking about anything for the start of the school year, just sort of thinking that people are maybe going to be still home quite a bit. And
yes, we were actually thinking of getting the big speaker that we were thinking about having that big event, trying to see if we can get it virtually and see how we can do it. And especially to begin the school year, because I'm sure that many parents, are also like stressed, what's going to happen. So, just to try to make a smooth transition through all of this, it would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, Laudy, thank you very much for everything you're doing.
Thank you, guys. No, thank you.
All right, Mayor, the next item is the Key Biscayne Piano Festival, and Ms. Amarili Ridegoto. Amarili, you there?
Yes, I'm here. So good evening, village manager, council members, clerk, and community members. It is so heartbreaking for me seeing all you to this special time. So thank you to the government members and the Key Biscayne Community Foundation for all you have done and all you are doing to protect us. Please, Andrew, can you start presenting the PowerPoint? So in the meanwhile, I will be talking. This is a great opportunity for us to present the Key Biscayne Piano Festival, our Key Biscayne Piano Festival, because it is a festival that is a legacy that we are building up for our beloved Key, and that so many people is supporting. Thanks to the village for the financial support gave for the last season, so abruptly stopped because of the virus, but that in half of the season reached so many goals. Like we projected, or we had to project at the international level Key Biscayne as a musical and arts city, thanks to the musical prestige of the pianists and artists invited, and to the presence and support of different consulates, the respective cultural centers and chamber of commerce such as Italy, Germany, Britain, France, Spain, Belgium, and Panama. And also it has begun to educate and inspire the youngest in a new set of values, not only musically, but also involving Key Biscayne youth in the community service activities during the events. We have delighted the unconditional lovers of music, and also we have awoken many others to the power of music. We have presented other forms of arts using the festival as a platform for our artists. And also we have included restaurants and stores that they have practically helped us to build up each one of the events. And we have attracted not only people residents of the Key, but also coming from outside Key Biscayne. And the idea is to really project the Key as the Key of the arts, so to attract more tourism and investors that will be a positive, for our stores and for our property values in the future. So the amount that we are presenting, I know, is huge, and it's the entire big picture. And really consider it would be for 15 concerts. It's not just one concert. We're talking about 15 concerts at a very high level, in-house and online, because it's so difficult to really project what will happen, in the health path in September and October, that not only we are in contact with different artists to invite them to perform in-house, so using again the Crosby Church or other venues here in the Key, but also we are planning to present online concerts and with a special format, stream worldwide free from the signal from, for example, from Italy, from museums and palaces with the logo of Key Biscayne, with special content for Key Biscayne. But before the projection of the concert, we will be also presented a 2 minutes video about Key Biscayne, about our beaches and our nature, our lifestyle. So to promote worldwide Key Biscayne. And obviously this is a work in progress, and not only we are thinking on the concerts in-house in case we can do them, also online, as I told you just now, but we are thinking also on the portable container stage. That this is, let me show you what is exactly what I have in mind, and this is the type, you see. Let me see. I don't know if it's clear or not. Let me see if I have the photo here. This is the type of portable container stage that we can move and imagine place this type of stage in our beaches, can be the public entrance.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I'm not seeing the screen.
It's not sharing.
In other parts of the Key, for example, in the big bags parking. So
really, we can't see the photo you're trying to show us.
Try restarting your screen sharing.
Problems with I'm in this moment. Sorry. Okay. Can you see something?
Yes. It's up.
Okay. So this is the idea. So we are thinking on 3 different ways. It's a financial caution because we don't know what will be the response of our corporate and private sponsors and donors when we start knocking on their doors. So the idea, is to brand the Key with the festival, and that people will be attracted to come here not only for our beaches, our lifestyle, but also because we can be really an international cultural city, and like it is other little towns like Aspen, like Verbier, and that's the goal. So I know that the amount is huge, and it's a work in progress. So I am open to discuss, to present. Also, I send to all of you the budget and the incomes and the expenses of the last 2 seasons. And so I think that you have all the main information possible, and I am more than open to answer to your questions. And thank you again for your support. And it depends really on you and on what you have seen we did in these 2 seasons.
All right. Are there any questions for anyone? Councilmember Petros?
Thank you for presenting. I did want to have a bit of an understanding of how much money you are getting from other sources, your corporate donors and so forth. And I know you earmarked it in the email you sent us, but I think for everybody's understanding, maybe you could give us from a year-to-year projection on that and what you're anticipating next year from outside supporters.
I have it in the first season, we have 8 concerts. The corporate sponsors, the amount was $31,600. individual donations 12,200, tickets sold 35,294. And in the second season that we did only half of the season, we have from the corporate sponsor and the village $39,000, individual donations 17,000, tickets sold $17,357. So
in that second year, I'm sorry, you listed 39,000 with corporate and village together, correct?
Yes, exactly. Because the main sponsor for this season was the village.
Which was a total of 29,500 of the 39?
Exactly, but we have spent only, there is an amount there that has been touched because we pay just for 4 of the concerts. So all this amount of money has been used totally. So there must be 6 from the previous budget hearing that the financial support you gave us for the last season, there must be $6,840 not used.
So, and the other thing, it sounds like you're looking to double the amount of concerts next year because you were funding for 8 for the first 2 years and you want to do 16 in the next year.
Yes, and not only in-house, but also online. So the idea is really to, and there is also, because it depends on, also the guidelines that the government will send to us due to the virus. The idea is also, for example, to do 3 intense days, like a mini festival with different locations, like a menu, so people can go walking from one station to the other. So it can be at the Turtle Fountain, the other can be at the Crosby Church, the other can be another one of the churches, another one can be in the park. So people, for example, you have the same time different concerts running, and in the menu, the people walking, they can decide to just hear, for example, a pop pianist or a new age pianist. So they walking, they visit the key and they can reach the different locations. And also we can invite different restaurants to create a station, food station, and to present their own, restaurant. So this is one of the ideas that we have, and it depends on, what will happen. And as I wrote in the email that I sent to you, the money will stay in the hands of the village. I mean, we will pay only for the concert that we will do. And in fact, as I am telling you, there is money that is there in the arcs of the village that has been used from the last season. We have also money into the fund inside the Key Biscayne Community Foundation that has been used. So also that one is considered part for the next season. The idea is that we are asking like a financial caution because really we don't know what will be the response of our sponsors and private donors. I mean, I couldn't really start knocking on the doors. I don't think that is the right moment. Maybe it would be in 2 or 3 weeks, but it would be not, so sensitive to start asking in such difficult moments, to the private and corporate sponsors.
All right, thank you.
Anybody, Councilmember McCormick?
Thank you very much, and thank you for this very professional presentation in front of us with the financials. I had some questions about, it sounds like as our budget gets more formalized, so will your numbers through the next months and the summer, which hopefully can help bring the ask down, which it sounds like it is your goal. My question, I think, relates to, it sounds amazing, this idea of the different venues. And I guess my question is related maybe to if this is, and I'm sure you've thought about it, but if this is the right year for a bigger expansion, given the possibility of restrictions on, and not only restrictions, but also just people's comfort levels with traveling and gathering and things like that. And just if, as you're looking and formalizing your numbers and planning, in the effort of course, always wanting to plan and actually be able to execute and be successful, that I would think about considering if this is the right year for a big expansion like that, not only financially, just in terms of restrictions and whatnot.
Yes, you have reason. First of all, when I met the village manager, the idea is really to present the big picture, so at least you know where is our goal. So which one is our goal? The main one is to really brand the key with the festival. And I imagine in people just arriving in Key Biscayne and from the light poles hanging the images of the different pianists invited, and also in the future there is the creation of the orchestra of the festival. So the idea is, because each serious festival has its own orchestra, and it would be great. That's why I stopped that, because of the virus, but we did the first call to the key, the musicians residents in the key, no matter the level, to start creating the orchestra. So we have so many things planning, but really it depends on the virus. So that's why we opened the idea to the concerts online with special content for Key Biscayne projected worldwide for free, with the logo and the video of the key presented before the concert, and with very high level in the images and in the quality of the sound, and also in the colleagues in the performers. It depends. I mean, we don't know what will happen really September, October. So this is a work in progress. That's why maybe, I don't know if it's a proposal, maybe it's thinking on having an amount of money there that can be used in case. And if, you know, we have the orders that we cannot do gatherings, we cannot do again concerts like inside the church, then we would not do them, we would not use that money. But the idea is to continue and to have at least a financial cushion in case, but that will be used or not. Because this is really something that we are building for the key. This is the festival of the key. So in fact, I propose to not only to brand the key, but to create the festival as an institution. And Melissa, so thank you with her, because she's such a great person, helping so much us. Melissa White, before when she talked about the Key Biscayne Piano Festival, yes, we are incorporating, but really it takes time. But the idea is always to keep the fund also in the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, or directly that the village will manage the festival. This is the goal. So it's something that I have like 16 angels around this, that they are giving financial support, they are giving all the community members, they are giving their time, their networking, they are selling tickets, they are welcoming the audience. And you know, it's so great. I'm so grateful to see that we have in the audience people from 8, 9 years old to 85, 90 years old. Professor Cooper, he's an emeritus professor and a worldwide renowned musicologist. He's in love with our festival. So I think that we are doing a great job. But for example, this year, the first one of the concert was under the patronage of the Italian consulate. And it was the night of the Italian consulate, but they just, they gave us the support, the financial support, but they asked only for 50 tickets. The rest, we could sell the ticket. So also having these personalities, these consular corp representatives is giving us glamour, is projecting us in another level, you know.
Amazing. I think it's a great endeavor, and I'm so grateful that you're doing it. I'm sure that it is a labor of love that takes a tremendous amount of time. So, and I think, back to echo my comments at the beginning of the meeting, one of the reasons why these workshops like this are so important for everyone else who's watching, who are residents of the village, to sort of see how these things evolve. That, you know, if people had sort of sticker shock when they saw the ask in the agenda for tonight, this is still something that is evolving, and like our budget, we'll figure out how to get to a good place. So thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Amarili. You know, I love the festival. I really do enjoy going, and I've learned a lot. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. And always you are the main guest, and consider the festival also as a presentation card to invite when you know that, for example, apart your friends, but when you know there is a guest or a VIP or someone, coming to visit Key Biscayne, bring them to the festival. So each one of you, you are ambassadors of this festival. This is our festival.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mayor. The next item is the Rotary Grand Bazaar and the 4th of July picnic.
Bob?
Trevor Brooks, Peter.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for slogging it out tonight and letting the community organizations tell you what we're doing on Key Biscayne. Most of you who serve on the council have been around a long time. You've seen all the great work that volunteers can do. I've never been in a community with as many volunteers and community organizations willing to step up to the plate. The Rotary Club of Key Biscayne was asked in 2016, thereabouts, to take over the Key Biscayne after parade picnic, which had been floundering. And we did. We took it on. We made a proposal. Todd came to us with a request. We made a proposal and the council approved it. We didn't ask for funding. We didn't think at that time that we should ask for funding for something we'd never done before. So we've been doing it. This is the first year that we're going to be asking for funding or some assistance from the village for the expenses, some of the expenses of the event. As you know, the Key Biscayne Art Festival, the Rotary Art Festival, has been around for over 35 years and more than 50 years since it started at the school and was taken over by Rotary. The evolution of that particular festival led us to have a one-day event called the Spring Fest in conjunction with the village Easter egg hunt, and it's worked out really, really well. And the village, Todd's area, has supported us in that for a few years at the level of 4,000, which was last year's ask. I will say that the ask that we have is entirely, I'm sorry?
I know.
Is the question? Oh, no, okay.
I think somebody's got their mic on.
Yeah.
If you're not muted, mute yourself, please, other than Bob.
Yeah, the ask is only in the event we hold the event, and only in the event that we actually spend money to put the event on. And we've been very judicious about not making any long-term commitments to anybody, including the tent people or the bounce house people or anybody else. We buy the food within 1 week of the event. We order the tents within 1 week of the event, and we're not committed. So this year, the 2019-20 budget amount that was allocated was not used and will not be used because of COVID. So I want to make that clear that that this year there's no up to September 30th, there'll be no reason for us to use those funds. So what I'm going to propose now is what we're doing for 2021, and I'll give you a little bit of background on what it is that we're doing. One second, please. Okay, the Rotary Club of Key Biscayne has been, since 1979, delivering our community a service above self that has been the hallmark of what the Rotary Club of Key Biscayne has been doing on the Key. Why is this not? I'm sorry, hold on. Mr. Technology here. I'm trying to share the actual PowerPoint. 1 second. Share PowerPoint. I'm wondering why it's not opening. I did it earlier and it opened fine.
It's open, Bob. Oh, it just opened and it closed.
Yeah, but it's not the presentation that I have. It's the it's not the PowerPoint. I apologize. And we did it earlier without a problem. So Well, I'll just go through it anyway.
There she is.
Yeah, but it's not the one that I was looking for.
Oh.
Service organization, the Rotary Club is a member organization of 1.2 million members and 35,000 clubs worldwide. We tackle big challenges that are challenges to humanity and have been doing so for the last 100 years. We focus on areas of health, youth, water. We focus on conflict resolution. We focus on education. And that's what the Rotary Club does. It marshals its resources and multiplies its resources by matching grants from Rotary International. And all of our work is done by volunteers. And I do apologize because a lot of stuff is missing on this presentation. For some reason, it's not on PowerPoint. So what is the investment that the village is making in the Rotary Club of Key Biscayne? Number one is we've had a very, very, very deep relationship with the village for many, many years with Todd, with Chuck Press, with Eric Lang, with the Building and Zoning Department, with Public Works, with the village manager's office in terms of putting these events together, which are community-driven and child-friendly. We've been doing it for many, many years, and I think we've been good stewards of that kind of activity on the village green. So we get donations for the event from all different sources, including Rotarians and friends and the village, and also event income. We sell beverages, we sell food, we offer bounce house and other activities, art activities for the children. We also have a lot of volunteers, both Rotarian and non-Rotarians. And then we also get ideas to tackle new problems, which is where we decide to put our money when we net in the Rotary events, the money that we net. So what do we do with the money? We feed those most affected by COVID. That's one of our latest projects, which I'll talk about in just a second. We save lives from malaria. That's one of the focuses of our club. We have two projects that we've done in Peru and in Venezuela, quite difficultly in Venezuela, that over 100,000 lives have been affected by what the Rotary has done in terms of our projects down there. We save lives from polio. We've been doing this for 25 years. And we have managed to eradicate polio only to see it pop up once again in conflict areas. We also are focusing on clean water, on self-sufficiency. So our projects have to be self-sufficient. It's not just writing a check. And Rotarians have to be involved in any project that we do. The 4th of July picnic and Springfest, we provide support to local agencies offering help to the needy. Everything from the Association of Retarded Citizens of South Florida, Battered Women's Shelters, the Buen Pastor Ministry in medical ministry at St. Agnes, the library, and the list goes on, including the PTA. We joined with other Rotary clubs for matching grants. So we multiply our money that we get by selling hamburgers, hot dogs, and everything else, putting on these events, and we leverage it with other Rotary clubs that want to participate but may not have the muscle to do the work. Scholarship programs, where Rotary International is one of the largest scholarship organizations in the world, but it's also here locally. We've been doing a scholarship program with the Mast Academy for the last 25 years that I've been involved. Clean water and sanitation around the globe. We have focused on that and have some amazing projects. We also provide an event to bring our community together in a child-friendly festival. And both of these are child-friendly festivals with a lot of activities for them and for families. 10 Key Biscayne charitable organizations are supported by the Rotary Club of Key Biscayne. Just as parenthetically, since our starting of the art festival back in the 80s, we have distributed over $2.5 million in grants and scholarships and programs from the Rotary Club of Key Biscayne alone. And thousands of lives have been changed for the better. Your support goes a long way. Rotary has a policy that we don't pay outsiders to do work unless it's absolutely necessary. So we may have to pay people in India to help us with the polio campaigns, but Rotarians are alone. 95% of all the funds that we raise in the Key Biscayne Rotary Club go to the programs. Operating costs are limited to tax preparation, permits, and storage. We don't have any paid staff. Everything is done by our members. It's a huge resource of Rotary volunteers that we bring to our community, and that, I think, builds community, which is our goal. A recent example of service above self is an idea that came out with Joe Kellogg was thinking about how we were going to do something for COVID that would be meaningful both to the Key and to the underserved communities. And so what we did is we reached out to 11 Key Biscayne restaurants and told them that we would purchase for $10 a full meal in order to distribute it in the hard-hit area of our sister city, Liberty City. They lined up, they were absolutely ecstatic. We gave business to them, and they gave a really fantastic individual food item for the folks in Liberty City. The Sister City Community Table Project was also inspired by the Chief Press Community Foundation that we turned to in order to get some information on how to do this better. We also supported them in a separate way with work that they're doing there. And also partly supported by the Key Biscayne Community Foundation. One of the things that we've done really, really well in the Rotary Club Foundation is to partner with the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, since they manage so many of the charities on the Key that are too small to have their own 501c3. And this has been a great, great partnership with our donations to them and their donations to us for our projects. Rotary Club of Key Biscayne Foundation purchased the meals. We delivered them to the Belafonte Tacolsi Center in Liberty City with our own volunteers. And it was a win-win, both for the hard-hit local restaurants, and $11,000 went to them, with zero overhead, and 1,100 full meals were delivered to our sister city. Very happy about that project. We think that Rotary is fun, it's community, it's sharing, and it's giving. We are also big mentors of the Mask Academy Interact Club, and I am following 3 of the scholarship recipients throughout their entire high school career. And in the past, I followed them right through their marriages and their giving birth to their children. So we do stay in touch with these kids. It isn't just write a check. It's making sure that they understand what Rotary is about. We come together for good, and we want the community to understand that we're there for them, as we have been during this crisis. We also have the village involved in all of our events. The police and the fire have a presence. As you can see, police chief there and Councilman Moss are cooking hamburgers and hot dogs without gloves. We have since bought fireproof gloves, I want to tell them, so that they don't have to get burned next time. And we also have a lot of children's activities during these events. I'm sorry that my 22021 request isn't here, but I will tell you that it's for $5,500, which is made up of $3,600 for the Grand Bazaar. The majority of that is for the tents, tables, and chairs that we've had to lease, as well as the children's interactive areas. The 4th of July parade, we're asking for $1,900, which most of that is for tents and also for kids' bounce houses. And again, this money is only spent based on expense. So if we have the expense and the event is held, then we go ahead and claim from the village, and it's worked out really well. I'm open to any questions. I apologize for this presentation. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. Oh, and my guys say hi.
Anybody else? Anybody have any questions? Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. What you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, Mayor, the next item is youth-led change. Ms. Pat Woodson.
That'd be Pat Woodson. Pat, you on? There she is, Pat.
Hi there.
Pat, how are you? Perfect.
Hello. Okay, can you hear me?
We can, yes. You're good.
Oh, good. Okay, it says the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
You're unmuted.
Fantastic. Okay, so are you getting an echo?
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Oh, no.
I had to do that.
Oh my God.
I don't, Mike, I don't see Pat unmuted on her video.
Pat, no, I've got her unmuted. There you are. You have a phone on as well?
But no, she has two things. She has a phone and a computer going at the same time.
Oh.
I'm going to.
I think that's why she's getting the echo.
So, all right, I am contacting you from a parking lot in Westchester, New York. And, okay, the echo is gone now, right? No more echo?
No more echo.
No more echo. You're good. Good to go from Westchester. Pat? No, Pat, now I don't hear you at all. There's no echo, but there's no audio.
Okay, we're going to try again.
Okay.
Is this good?
You're good.
All right. And no echo.
You're good.
Okay. So Youth Lead Change is an educational program for the youth of our community. And it is really striking watching this incredible workshop, the showcase of innovation and adults in the community who have found that there's a need and addressed that need, understood how to address it. So for about a third of the population on Key Biscayne, 18 and under, this program, Youth Lead Change, provides the facilitation, the education, and the tools to understand how to identify needs and address them, whether that's for social issue or an environmental issue, a community issue. Think globally, act locally. So we started in October with a launch, and we brought in two of our partners, Peace First, which is an international program, a platform developed along with the Harvard School of Education, teaching innovation and entrepreneurial thinking. And our other partner, Outward Bound, also a leadership organization that teaches compassion, servant leadership, inclusion, and discovering that there's more in you than you knew. So we launched with 4 assemblies for Mast Academy and for St. Agnes and for KBPS. We had over 1,000 students participating. And then in our workshops, we've had over 75. You saw some of the winners of the Youth Lead Change Award present their initiatives, their projects at the council meeting in January. And Outward Bound provided 10 scholarships for them to go on an Outward Bound leadership course in March. However, we know what happened in March. So now that's on hold, hopefully for the fall, the spring, So we have been providing not only monthly workshops, but since COVID started, working individually with students to support them in continuing their projects. We are going to begin Zoom-based workshops this summer, beginning with one of 4 intensives. Oh, and here on the screen, you see our current featured project, which is the Key Biscayne Community Yearbook, where students have made statements about what they'd like to change in the world. So you can go to youthleadkb.org and see the incredible inspiration that these students are and their vision for what they want to do in the future for a better world. Here are some of the winning initiatives that earned the award that Mayor Davey presented. This is Bikes and Bagels, encouraging biking, reducing the carbon footprint, and awareness of our personal impact on the environment. Many other projects are in the works. Campaign Compassion is now a research-based project, which is just going to be amazing. And another one, which is a career academy. So next screen. These are students on an Outward Bound course where they learn collaboration, problem solving, teamwork, courage, compassion, and inclusion. Right now, Outward Bound schools globally are in suspension, but they continue to be our partner. Our primary expenses this year were really this series of days of 90-minute in-depth assemblies for schools, bringing Peace First educators and Outward Bound educators here to help provide those. And then a deep dive, full day intensive by Peace First, which helped launch quite a few new social entrepreneurs. So this year, I know Andrew is running the screens. Thank you, Andrew. We are planning 4 main educational intensives. 2 of them we know are going to have to be online, but we have some interesting ideas about making them interactive, shipping out boxes of interactive materials and using the break room features of Zoom so that we can have collaboration in small groups. We have the executive director of Outward Bound International Peace Building School who will be leading another one. We look forward to working with Jen Cleo. And we have another new partner in Watson Institute for Social Entrepreneurship at Lynn University. Also planning to bring in the United Nations Program for Sustainable Development Goals. So it's going to be a very big year. And because some of it will have to be online, we're not limited to local people. And we're going to hopefully have also someone from Stanford's School of Innovation, School of Social Entrepreneurship, who had started an extraordinary business, a CEO who is going to do a full day intensive. So it's all about entrepreneurship, the flexible, innovative thinking in the model of entrepreneurship, finding a need, learning how to address it, and then to make it sustainable and replicable. So this year, our ask will cover as well the project that we began of creating a film about social change in our community. And I really as I listen to my friends and colleagues and neighbors in this workshop, imagine if we have next year a workshop that is led by our youth, showcasing what they have established here in the community and beyond. We had, on our launch, we had a youth project showcase, and it was very impressive. So next year, I want to bring what you've seen here from adults, really showcasing our youth and the amazing work that they're doing.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Pat? Thank you for everything you're doing. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Pat. I shared with Pat earlier today, but just to highlight for everyone else who's watching, I think it was really great the way that you were able to pivot and to switch to do things a little more virtually, and the yearbook is just great. Thank you.
Yeah, we're recommending option D.
Thank you. Well, got to walk the innovation talk, right?
So that'll confirm understanding when you have to key it in.
All right. Thank you, Pat.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item is zero waste culture.
About option D is to note you have about raising the millage beyond the rollback. That I don't understand. Because if we're using existing revenue.
Time?
Yes, I think, can you see me? it took me a minute to get there.
There you are. Okay, sorry, I've got a lot of people on there. Yeah, you have to wave. All right.
And Elena, I think that you were going to come on
here.
as well.
Is Elena there? She is. I see her down there. Let me try and unmute her. Elena? There you go.
Great.
There, you're both there. Excellent. All right, take it away.
Well, thank you very much for having us and inviting us, to Mayor Davey and to the council and to Todd and to Andrea, who've also been helping us on our path here a bit. We are a zero waste culture. I like to read our mission because I'm quite proud of it. We're a nonprofit organization whose message is to educate individuals and communities and engage them in programs to help mitigate climate change, promote entrepreneurship and self-sufficiency. I feel like we're on track with so many of the other presenters. It's with great pride that I find myself in such an incredible group. And I congratulate every presentation that we've heard today. So very briefly, the who and the why of who are we? We are your neighbors. It's Elena and Taima, Rosa, Jackie, Josefina, and Catalina. You have a climate activist, a filmmaker, a doctor, a master naturalist, a businesswoman, and an artist. We're neighbors taking action to reverse climate change together. We appreciate that the climate crisis is one of humanity's major challenges. And we say, let's tackle it together, one step at a time as a community and by reaching out to other communities. We have an action plan as part of our mission, and it is based around partnerships and programs. And our main partnership that we've been working towards in conjunction with the village of Key Biscayne is to create a community compost. And we are working as well, partnering with Back to Earth, a nonprofit organization of compost experts, young compost experts from FIU, students who have created a program and are developing compost stations around Miami-Dade.
I'm not seeing the presentation, Taima.
Really? Oh, I'm in. Let me see. Stand by. I apologize. I've had a grand time with it. It's really nice. Thanks, Elena. I'll just back it up. There's our mission. I read it, so you didn't miss much there. And this is the us of it. And does everybody see this now? I apologize. Do you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. I'm going to go full view if you don't mind. Do you see it? Great. So as I said, we have the community compost, which is what we are asking for in the budget today. But I just want to briefly tell you a little bit about our programs. I hope you've heard of them. Our landmark program was Sew a Bag, and that sort of was changed overnight to become Sew a Mask with the coronavirus. We're very proud to say that in conjunction with local volunteers from Key Biscayne and a number of women who were made unemployed by COVID-19, who we've managed to pay through fundraising and the selling of the masks, we've delivered literally 15 short of 3,000 masks to other Miami-Dade communities in need and vulnerable communities. So in Liberty City, in Haiti, all over, as well as sort of beyond our borders. We did an initiative to donate masks to Native Americans. So we're very proud of that work. We also do educational initiatives for ourselves and for our youth. So we do visits to schools. We've been to K-8s, to high schools, obviously before the coronavirus lockdowns. We've taken tours to waste treatment plants, and we have educational tent at the farmers market on the village. Every Saturday we're there. So we're always sort of pushing our education. We involve the youth of our community, not just in going to schools, but we have them volunteering. We have youth sewing. We are offering a summer internship. We're really trying to bring all parts of our community together. As you can see here, we have some wonderful friends, and friends, or some are partners, some are sponsors, some are just sort of on the same wavelength that we cross-promote. So we connect to collaborate and cross-promote with these wonderful organizations, and we're very proud to be able to show them here. Now on to food waste. Our budget, our ask is to create the community compost. We presented some of this information a year ago when we were very happy to receive a $13,805 donation or money from you from the village. But I still like to reiterate a bit about food waste and talk about it before we move on to this current ask. Every day we all produce food waste in sort of everything we do, and most of this food waste goes straight into producing toxic methane gas in landfills. 32% of the produced food ends up wasted. That's 150,000 tons a day. 50% of solid waste produced is organic and biodegradable. So that opens up to a solution right there. 40% of what we throw away in a year is food waste, and 95% of food waste ends up in landfill. All of this contributes to climate change. Through composting, food waste can be turned into nutrient-rich soil and serve our communities. So here's our favorite idea. From food waste to nutrient-rich soil, black gold. We've had to adapt, as well as everybody else, to the way our drop-off will work. It's very simple. First, you collect your food waste at home in your bucket supplied by a zero waste culture. Just move this over a little. And that's a $50 membership. We are not able to show this in the current budget. It was shown in our last budget, but I'll explain that better later. There'll be a drive-by drop-off on Saturdays from 8 to 1, and our team will meet each car. We'll take your bucket and we'll empty it ourselves and return you the bucket using all COVID-19 safety precautions, so gloves and masks and everything. And the end result, this is to have its nutrient-rich soil, as well as to reduce food waste. And it's a beautiful box here. This is one created by Back to Earth. Here is sort of what it'll look like. We have it envisioned behind a fence because it'll only be open one day a week on Saturdays. So there's the do's and the don'ts. Of course, we'll do educational outreach. We've already said that, and make sure everybody knows what can be composted. The 3 different boxes are 3 different stages where you add mulch and you continue the process to create the compost soil. Hold on, that went a little too fast. So as to meeting community needs, we feel like we meet all sorts of community needs. We are going to help in the compost will help to reduce the production of methane gas, helping curb global warming. We'll reduce local food waste. We keep everything local, which is also an important aspect. We reduce the village waste collection cost to waste management by repurposing food waste. We put to good use our local mulch in the composting process, the mulch we collect here. We can reduce the need for fertilizer, and this, of course, is by composting, we protect our water. There's not the runoff onto our beaches, so we keep our water cleaner. We educate our community. A big part of a zero waste culture, as I said, is education. So we'll explain about resiliency as sustainability, and that compost is an important part of this project, and that this becoming a stronger community, a more resilient and sustainable community. We promote awareness about Key Biscayne's commitment to sustainability by kind of getting on the map of having a compost. And we help raise property values, no less, by attracting new residents to our green island. And we involve and educate our community for a sustainable future. And I just want to go back to last year's Ask, when we did a survey, and we did have a sort of a wonderful reception of 90% of Key Biscayne residents who responded would like to have a community a compost on Key Biscayne. Now our ask is, it's a bit messy in a way, at least because sadly we were given the money, but our venue fell through. So we only found out in March, and it's been quite hard to rejig it. So we approached the village, and we're hoping to move forward as a partnership in conjunction with you to build a compost facility on village land. Ideally at 530 Crandon in the corner, backing up onto SunTrust, or anywhere that works for you the best. And there's already an area that's fenced out for the electric boxes, so it could be a continuation of that space. And we don't feel like it will ruin the look of that area or take up too much land. In fact, the facility only requires a minimum size of 20 to 30 feet to become functioning and to create soil. Our 2021 budget proposal is to manage, market, promote, oversee, grow the membership, start a pickup service, and operate the facility to the highest health, safety, and cleanliness standards. So we've come back at this again, and we have added a coordinator and a caretaker, sort of compost manager coordinator, so that we really live up to your standards, and so that the village is completely happy for our cleanliness and for managing a fantastic facility. So there, and we at the drop off, everyone will be there to help on the day. Back to Earth comes on the Saturday. It's like a one-day affair. Everybody's there, dropping their work, turning over the mulch, making the compost, and as I said, to COVID-19 safety requirements. The soil we can make available to the village and for the parks, and perhaps even for the park where it's located, or it can be offered to sale for members, and that would generate additional revenue. And we're proposing, we've only put it in the budget quite small because we want to make sure it works, with just 25 Key Biscayne residents, to see how it would work to have a pickup. And we approached Freebies, and they said that they would be, they're keen to help us. There is a charge of $15 an hour, but they would do the pickups on Saturday morning. And that's why we want to start it small and see how it works in the cards if we would need to purchase a flatbed. So there's some work to be done to understand if that would work. But that is something that could grow. And from our research, we've found that it's mostly our senior citizens who are interested in the pickup. So that is sort of the lay of the land. Excuse me. And we hope Key Biscayne becomes a model for other cities to follow for sustainability and resilience. I haven't mentioned money, but I will now. So we were originally given the $13,805. We have not been able to spend that. If there's some way we can work together and find a place to build it on village land, it could be built by September, when the money kind of times out. The budget that we've presented to you is for $21,000, which has that addition of the sort of higher level of care with the caretaker, janitorial services. There is an option that it could be somebody from the community center. We're thinking we need a daily checkup just to make sure people aren't dumping any food waste in front of the facility. And then on the Saturday to be there to make sure we do everything perfectly clean. We're not able to show the income because it shows in the first budget, but our ask is for $21,650. But the following year, and we are meaning to be self-sustaining, we would be able to put the memberships of $12,500. So then it's more like $9,150 would be an ask for continuing at that level with the sort of site contractors. I hope that explains it well. Any questions? All questions?
Anybody have any questions? Councilmember Moss? You've got to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
I just have a question. Do you see that volunteers would be interested in doing some of these, like picking up at houses or going to the area just to check on it on a daily basis? Do you think this, because it seems like there would be a lot of interest in the community for people to be involved in this.
Yeah.
And maybe that would take less costs.
Yeah, we think that's a great idea, and we have volunteers for everything we do. We have them sewing, we have them at our tent, we have, of course, our information tent at the market. And the only problem was that we were worried the what if on the day they don't show up. So if that volunteer is going around with the freebie driver, the freebie driver said they can't pick up, so we need that person. We could build it around volunteers, but we're just worried that it might not work. But we could have them doing many other things. I mean, they'll be doing educational outreach. They'll be manning the booth at the farmers market just to sign up people for the compost. If you decide to sell compost, the actual soil, they can be selling it. That kind of thing we can do with volunteers and back them up, because we'll have our own tent there that's there every Saturday. So I love the idea, but we were worried. Our experience says that they're not always every single time available to come. I mean, we could do it maybe if we had a couple, sort of first and second choice. Totally happy to look into that and totally flexible on that. As we are with all of this, we really want it to happen. It's very awkward, the way I said in the beginning, that we're asking for more money on top of some money we haven't spent yet, but we just want to work together. So however we can make this happen, we really care about doing this. Yes.
Petros?
Your presentation, and I had two questions. First of all, I want to know if you have a second option if 530 isn't considered viable. Is there another place that you've considered? And then secondly, with a project like this, it seems like there's a possibility to get grants from other sources as well. Have you looked into that? And have you applied for any funding outside of the village?
We have actually hired a grant person through through a zero waste culture, applying for grants for us, and we're definitely looking for money. I mean, we have some offsets on the budget. That is a crowdfunding campaign that we would plan to do, and corporate sponsorship funding and grants. So we're definitely going to do all that. Some of that already shows in the budget, but yes, is the answer to that. We're looking into it already. We have somebody writing grants, and we're going to do crowdfund just for composting.
And an alternate placement? Do you have another idea?
The first part of that. I can only remember one thing at this stage.
That's okay.
So we don't. Over to you. I mean, we've looked at every single place on the key. There are so many options, but I think it has to be what works best. It could be a different land parcel because we have such a great possibility for education. So it could be placed somewhere not hidden, but where it's part of the land, where we're creating something and teaching us as we go along, and then using the soil for the garden or for the park there.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is the ideal space that you would want to start this composting pile, as opposed to the minimum space that you could get away with?
I think it would be sort of twice that size. Instead of the 20 by 30, it would be 40 by 60, because it gives us a place to work for the table, to break it down. It's a little bit more complicated from the inside of the fence. Like if people put in, for example, banana peels, we would have to cut them up. So if the more space we have, the better it would operate. So that would make a difference. Do you agree, Elena? Am I getting that size right? You have to unmute yourself, baby.
Also to be able to grow, because 20 by 30 is just like the really minimum. And I believe there's also a space that might be possible, which is, I think, the entrance of the old zoo before the entrance. That's what we were told, but I don't know. That's up to the village.
We don't own that land. Were you having conversations with the county?
No.
Okay.
We haven't had direct conversations, but we've sort of been told by other folks it wouldn't happen. And the same with Calusa. We thought maybe we could have something at Calusa. We understand that there might be something moving forward on Virginia Key, a much bigger operation. But I don't think that's counteractive to what we're doing. I think that we would create a great base for something like that. We would get people educated, involved. I think they would be surprised how easy it is and how rewarding it is. I mean, just instead of dumping all of your food waste in your trash, to take that bucket. Every time you fill that bucket, it's like a matter of pride. So it seems hard to believe, but it is. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I had a quick question about the model and the memberships. Well, first, thank you. Sorry. Now I'm starting to get tired. But about the memberships, what exactly has the feedback been and people that you're talking to of buying in? So are people feeling like they would want to buy this membership and participate in this program for this satisfaction and feeling like it's the right thing to do and it's environmentally the wise decision? Or do you feel like people are expecting to get soil out of their membership or be able to buy soil? What have you guys encountered?
I think really people are just looking forward so much that even people that are willing to pay and that they have their own compost at home, that they want the village, the whole community to have compost. So I think we have all sorts of people that really every day at the village, on Saturday farmers market, there's people like asking when do we have the compost? So.
And the $50 fee is for a whole year, and the bucket, and then the drop-off service. I mean, you get quite a lot of value for that amount of money.
Yeah,
but
it's a year.
It helps.
I guess what I'm asking isn't really, it didn't mean if it sounded like a criticism of the $50, that wasn't my intention. I think I'm more wondering if people are most interested in having another option for their food waste or for the end result.
I think in the actual composting, in the action, in doing something sustainable.
Yeah, most people said
that's how we've presented it. Sorry, Elena.
Yeah, most people are not even thinking of having the soil afterwards. They just want to put their waste into, not wasting the food. I don't know, to put their waste into work.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final presentation is the Children's Business Fair.
Hi, I'm Cristina.
Welcome.
Thank you, I'm Fernanda, and we want to start by thanking everybody, and especially the Village of Key Biscayne and the Community Foundation for all the effort and time they have put in keeping our village safe during this pandemic. It's been a wonderful, wonderful effort. So thank you.
We have a very short presentation. We know everyone's tired. So I'm sharing the screen. And we know and we're happy that many of you have come to the Children's Business Fair. Both years we've had it, but for those of you who haven't, we have a very short video of 40 seconds for you to see what it's all about. So now we have the short presentation.
So we want to start by saying what's the Key Biscayne Children's Business Fair. It's been a family event that there we go. It's a family event. It's oriented for children 8 to 16 years old who are young entrepreneurs.
Yes, so the Key Biscayne Children Business Fair, of course, it's a community event. It is mainly to understand, for kids to understand the value of their ideas and be able to turn them into action. So that's our main goal.
So how do they do that? These children, young entrepreneurs, they create a service, develop a brand, and they have a marketing strategy during their event.
Yeah, and of course the big day, the day of the event, it's a one-day marketplace where they get to display and get feedback from their product or service.
And they also learn from skills of social, they develop so many skills and they have a full customer interaction. So by selling and trying to promote and being questioned about their product or service, that's the way they grow this experience.
And one thing we emphasize a lot, and for our participants, it's that at this age and hopefully forever, having a business, it's meant to be really fun. So it is really fun. How does the Key Biscayne Children's Business Fair impact our community?
So I think the first thing is that it's a very unique event that nurtures creativity, imagination, innovation, and leadership.
It, of course, brings our community together.
Promotes a safe learning environment for young entrepreneurs.
It's a valuable support for local businesses. And we think this is one of the great things we've done since the first edition, that as many suppliers as we can, we get them all locally. The first year, the only thing we had to do outside the island was the printing. And we were happy this year that UPS was here and they provided all of that printing for us. So everything is locally sourced. So we see it as a community and we contribute to the community.
Another important thing is that we also get the feedback, and obviously since we're involved in the project, we know that it keeps the youth motivating and possibly active. They need to spend a lot of time creating their products, having a brand, promoting them, and it's a really fun way to keep them active.
It's also a fun event for families to gather and participate together. I think you also in the videos, it's kids from all ages, it's the parents, it's the community coming together. So it's really wonderful.
And most important, in the long term, and I think we already done that, we are aiming to position Key Biscayne as the center of young entrepreneurship.
Yes, and on this, for next year, we envision a big growth, but due to the circumstances, and for the safety of our young entrepreneurs, we've decided for one more year to keep it small. We had 54 businesses and 90 kids or entrepreneurs participating. So we want to make a similar sized event this year, and then for 2021, hopefully give the big step. But this was our expenditure this year, and we're asking the village for 6,000, which for us would guarantee the event happening. We are concerned about the situation. A lot of our sponsors are small businesses in the island, which we want to get as many, because we want to get as many of them involved in the event itself. So it's been all sponsor finance, and we don't know how good we're gonna do this year with the sponsors, even of all the hard work that I do for getting the sponsorship.
And what we want to say is that one of the things we found when we presentate and we speak to sponsors and we see it on the participants, people only see that it's a one-day fair. Actually, the Key Biscayne Children's Business Fair, we work all year round through education, promotion, speakers. We do nonprofit works. The kids, they do give 5% of their profits to a nonprofit, and then we use Hermanos de la Calle, which is also a local nonprofit, and we cook with them and we go out to the streets. So even though some of the people only see a one-day event, this goes all year round. We also have social media platforms that supports the young entrepreneurs the entire year.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think, thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, well, thank you for your time. Appreciate what you guys are doing. The kids love it. So it's always a fun event.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. Does anybody have anything else?
All right, Mayor, that concludes our presentations.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
I have a question?
Go ahead, Councilmember.
First of all, I want to thank each one of the presenters. It lifts the spirit of why we all live here, the spirit of Key Biscayne. And people are doing extraordinary things very efficiently, which is a lot more than we do in overall government here in Key Biscayne. And I, as one, consider these not expenses, but investments in our community and our people, and the very reason why we incorporated this into our own island government. So as we hopefully look forward, all of you who are either watching or who presented today, if we for once get successful in cutting our overall budget outside of this a small but very important investment rather than expense, maybe we can fund all of you. I mean, we'll have some more questions as we go along, but I wanted to congratulate you for that. And now I have a question for the manager. I didn't want to delay the presentations as to the exactly what the process you're proposing, and I'm looking particularly at on tab 1 when you have the community groups breakdown. I have one question. I think I know the answer, but there are other people who may not. I don't understand your format. You have actual 2019 fiscal year, and then you have fiscal year 2020 year to date. That means that's projects that have been disbursed. If we look at it as not budget but cash flow, is that money that has been disbursed?
Correct, as of April 30th.
And then the next line, which is fiscal year 2020 funded. What is the difference between those two?
So the year to date is the drawdown on the funded budget.
All right, so basically funded should be budget.
Correct.
Clear. So the third column is actually budget. The
correct.
Column before that is actually funded. Would that be correct?
Actual payments, right? Actuals. I would say budget and actuals.
Okay, which leads me, well, budget is one thing. I'm asking you specifically, why have we dispersed cash?
Yes, so dispersed cash is the year-to-date actuals.
The second column, figure date to 4/30/99. Okay.
You got it.
And in the events, and some of the presenters volunteered the information, it's not clear from this presentation, where they were budgeted for a certain number, but they did not use those numbers. How do you handle that? Or where is that reflected so people can understand what we're going to be making decisions on? There are several events that were budgeted but not funded.
Okay, so in the example where funded means actually cash flow,
Right.
they're not happening. Okay, so what we have in the cover memos, to the extent that we knew or that the group was aware that an event would not take place, and also in their presentations, folks disclosed that's not going to happen. We're expecting savings that will revert
Right. So
back.
my question very precisely is, so that people understand what we're doing in layman's terms, is that money does not carry forward as a cash carry forward.
Not by nature, no.
None of it. Is that clear?
Correct.
I mean, right. So that when they're talking about the request, is the new money, notwithstanding whether they use or not the old money. That money was not used, it's not used.
Correct. The council would need to reappropriate the funds in future years.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about the facts here. Those projects that were approved or budgeted, as you call it, but not funded for the special circumstances, people have to understand, non-presenters, our taxpayers, that we're not adding that unfunded budget to their request for this year.
Correct.
Okay, it's a very important point for our taxpayers to understand, because the way it reads here, one could interpret that there's an accumulation, a carry forward, as we call it. So that's clear to everybody. Okay, maybe you ought to work a little bit better on the presentation. And what is the process then moving forward in terms of next week and the budget? Vice Mayor asked about when are we going to have and several people have called me, when are we gonna have a budget, proposed budget?
Yes, so you will be getting something. We're here in the office finalizing and reconciling some numbers. So by tomorrow, you will be delivered the budget package. There's a version that has all the backup, detailed backup, and then there's an executive summary as well. So we'll also be doing briefings. Some council members have had briefings already. There was the Sunshine meeting that we had the pleasure of participating with you last week, and we'll continue doing those briefings with either myself and to the extent that department heads are needed to answer more in-depth operational questions, they have all made themselves available to meet. And then next Tuesday, the 23rd, will be the budget workshop where we will have all of the proposed numbers prepared for council discussion.
For the whole budget?
The whole shebang, all
right.
funds.
And we're not gonna make any decisions at that time?
You don't have to, it's a workshop, correct?
We don't have to,
You can't. I mean, you could provide feedback and direction.
It's a budget workshop. But
Right.
It's a workshop, no action should be taken at the workshop.
yes, but we will have discussion on items. We will have discussion on the budget.
Well, wait, excuse me. I'm sorry, Mayor, for interrupting.
What do you need?
No, the clerk is giving me legal opinion.
No, he's just saying you can't take any, it's not a legal opinion. I mean,
What's the
workshop?
What's the answer, Chad? Can we pass
At a
resolutions if
workshop.
we have agreements on certain items?
No, not at a workshop.
Okay.
You can give direction to the manager. The other thing too is next week, you also won't have the final numbers in yet to make a fully informed decision, because those don't come out until later.
July 1.
July.
But we can make resolutions or observations that can stand as policy decisions. For her saying we want to eliminate.
We can give direction,
as we move
yes.
forward, we can certainly do that, right? Give her direction.
Correct. Give direction, correct. You can't pass any resolutions.
Well, I meant the sense of the council.
Yeah, sense of the council, you know, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it
Because
comes
one of the
back,
things that this was, as we had the unpleasant experience last year, is to try to accelerate this process as much as we could. And normally how you do that in the private sector is you eliminate the obvious accepts and the obvious rejects, and then you work hard on the hard middle stuff that are harder to make. So if we give you advice on certain things, then that should make us more effective come September, right?
Right.
Sounds great. Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'm looking at the same page that Councilmember Laredo is looking at. And, I know that we had items that we budgeted last year that are not on here anymore. I think it would be very helpful in our next meeting that we make sure that they do show up. If we're, for instance, the one that I know of.
Youth Council.
Youth Council, right?
Yes.
So if we're going from 10,000 to 0, I would like to see that last year we had budgeted 10,000, we did not use any, and we would go to 0. Or we may not go to 0. We may want to reduce it down to 5,000. But I think we should show things that are not going to continue on there too, because then we get a full picture of things that were budgeted and what our total budget was last year versus what we're looking at this year as well.
I agree.
I agree.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all. Councilmember McCoy.
Just one last thing. And I got a little sidetracked, so I may have missed it if Councilmember Laredo already said this, but I think that for me and maybe other council members as well, it may be useful when we look at the budget as a whole, if we have maybe call out in a separate spot somewhere this carryover money for all the different things that hadn't been spent, so that we can have some visibility. I know when we have items that we don't typically, and that we don't spend, that we budget for and don't spend, it goes into working capital at the end of the year. But it would be nice to see what that number is so that we have some perspective on what we're spending and what we have to spend.
I agree.
Yes, and you'll also be getting the CAFR, which you're muted. Are you, Councilmember McCormick, did you want to?
I'm here. No, that was it.
Okay, so the CAFR is actually wrapping up as well. So on the June 30th meeting, the auditors will be available too. So any questions on fund balances and things like that can be addressed too.
All right, anything else?
So thank you, Mayor.
I will, if I may take the opportunity in this, with all of you here. So
All of us are here.
I'm sorry?
Not everybody's here, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So I had been working with our interim clerk to try to get some feedback on the council budget. And I just wanted to say, give everyone a heads up for the sake of discussion at this point, what we did, and we can change this for first hearing tomorrow, you know, it's just a workshop. But we do have a division within council budget that calls out, you know, the youth council and some of these other community.
I think let's deal with that on Tuesday when we're all together, when we've had a chance to look at it. I'm not going to make any determination without seeing any document or anything right now. I think
If I may just finish the question, because it goes exactly to what the vice mayor was asking about. So as far as I did not get any, I don't have feedback with regard to some of these asks. So what I defaulted to was I just used the 20 adopted numbers, just so you all know. So that's kind of our jump off.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Let's get Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.